Welcome to Roundtail Radio. Through our conversations, we discover the holy and the ordinary, look for moments of grace and peace, and redefine what we're talking about. We talk about faith. Hey, Lillian.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Nice. So this is like, I feel like someone has opened the gates of the pasture and we're like, freedom. And a little also like, what do we do now? Because this is the first podcast after finishing our 52 for the Journey series, and it occurred to me
We still have our books on the
we
table.
still literally have our books sitting here. Ta-da! It occurred to me because you told me that this is the first podcast you have done not in 52 for the Journey, because you arrived during our program with all this. So which is funny to me, because before this, Ed and I would sit and go, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Very much like a Pinky in the Brain kind of situation. Come on, we take over the world. We've had a lot of sugar, guys. I feel like I should say this to already explain my babbling. But we had a lovely staff.
There were cupcakes at staff meeting too.
They were amazing. They were gluten-free.
Mm-hmm.
They were super tasty because we had 3 different birthdays to celebrate.
3 staff birthdays in December.
Including yours.
Including mine.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So we are well and truly sugared up. So apologies for the slightly frenetic energy today.
Hi.
But so it's Advent.
It is Advent, and we haven't made a podcast since the beginning of Advent.
That's true. We had a sort of accidental week off last week.
Hey.
It was quite a week. So Ed and I have done a number of podcasts about Advent.
It does happen every year.
It does. Turns out.
Yeah.
It does. We have also historically done episodes on hymns, on like carols, favorite carols, and we dive into the history there. You can just go back and find those. Those have always been well received. People enjoy those.
That sounds like an interesting one.
They're really fun. Maybe we'll do one next week. But to that end, we've done a fair bit on Advent, but I have not talked to you about Advent. And I feel like Advent is one of those periods of the year that it's like one of the more subjective ones, it feels like to me, in modern ministry, because I feel like there's an internal tension between the like, we're waiting, we're in this period of like quiet contemplation and anticipation, and the world's like been celebrating Christmas since Halloween, which I also now embrace, because I'm like, give me the joy, give me the twinkle lights, give me the happy songs. Like, I'll take the joy, I'll take as much, just like give me all the happy. I receive all of it with happiness, because it's like there's just so much. I'm making a bad face if you can't tell. Because there's just so much terrible. Yeah, I'm like, I'll take as much twinkle lights and uplifting and hope and joy as I can get.
And I do have. And it's this weird thing that Christmas has become, because historically you have Christmas starts on the 25th and goes until January 6th, I believe.
12 days of Christmas.
12 days of Christmas. And nowadays Christmas kind of starts in October, November, August.
Yeah.
And kind of ends on the 25th.
Right.
And so there's that weird interplay where in the common culture, unless you're getting a chocolate advent calendar, which I recommend,
very much so,
Advent kind of doesn't really exist anymore.
Right.
And outside of a liturgical season. And I don't know if you've watched the online sermons, I really love Advent.
Excuse me.
Because I think of it as this kind of like sinking into the anticipation.
Okay.
And also the uncertainty. So there are these elements of you're focusing on. So this week is the week of joy. You were talking about wanting joy. So
yeah,
we're having our Christmas pageant. I'm so excited.
It'll be great.
I've been told it's the best.
It's the best ever.
The best ever.
It is the best Christmas ever. Every year it is the best ever. Yeah.
But there's also this kind of room for, as the days grow darker, I always kind of find myself in Advent reflecting on kind of like this last month as Mary is like, okay, I really gotta have this baby.
Yeah, the Mary of it all is
Yeah.
fascinating.
I think to add to me, like the season of Advent is this season of yet to be born,
Okay.
but also something that I've written into like many ideas for sermons, but never gotten a chance to like talk about is really wanting to like ask the either in a moment for all ages or in a sermon, ask people like, do you remember having younger siblings being born or having your own children or grandchildren or nieces and nephews being born? And there's this simultaneous like excitement, fear, knowing you're forgetting something.
Oh yeah.
And so as we're preparing all of those, but we're also like, I don't know, bringing up these new themes of joy, hope, peace, love. And I think that we're so focused on Christmas that I like it's just so rich.
There's
Anyway.
there's so much.
There's so much.
There's so much. I've told this story on the podcast before because Shannon and I did a couple Mother's Day episodes about like me and a mom. And our experiences of motherhood were very different. It was very cool conversations. But I was telling how I was pregnant during sort of COVID times and ended up having, by choice, having my baby at home with midwives, which was super cool. But the thing that I took away from the overarching experience as a reflection was that they made it feel simultaneously like the most sacred and holy experience, but also so incredibly ordinary in a way that I really appreciated because I have a little bit of anxiety. And so the fact that they were just the most chill and the most like, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like, heartbeat's fine. Everything's fine. I was like, this is taking way longer than I thought it would. They were like, yeah, they do that sometimes. And it was just like, no big deal, but also super sacred and holy, but also incredibly ordinary in a way that I really, really liked. And I feel like there's something like in that when it comes to this sort of this like, Mary like getting ready and there's like, that as the story goes in a barn or a cave, depending on how the interpretation translation of it is. And it's like, it's sort of interesting that, that this is something that women for millennia have done. And she's in the line of those who have done it in quite a exceptionally unholy kind of way with the most holiest of babies.
And it's this very ordinary miracle.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is why you went to seminary and I didn't. Thank you. Beautiful.
And I think the other thing that I love to think about is the vulnerability of Christ being born a baby, especially at a time where infant and maternal mortality was so much higher.
Yeah.
Even being born was so much riskier, making it out of early childhood. And so I think to me, there are these kind of images that stick in my mind, and the idea of just being God and yet also being born into a tiny little body that cannot do anything for itself, and like trusting humanity through this young woman to care for you until you are old enough to care for yourself and care for others.
Right.
I think it is I had my intro theology professor. In my intro theology class, often he would refer to Jesus as like Mary's son or like Mary's baby, essentially. And so I think the framing of Advent, you get this other side of Jesus, not just the person who proclaims, but also this son, this baby, this you hear mostly about like the baby part and then
The like
when he's 30.
30, yeah.
But there is this whole process that didn't just happen.
Yeah. I always think that's so interesting. I was I can't tell you the number of times I wish like we knew, all those like what he was like as a 6-year-old.
And there are some traditions that talk about those stories a lot more.
Mhm.
The Coptic Church, which is kind of coming out of Egypt, has a lot more of a rich history of Jesus's youth because in the biblical narrative, Jesus, as a child, flees into Egypt for several years.
Okay.
And so there are the stories of, well, Jesus was here in Egypt. What was he doing?
Got it.
And so you get some
Are there
stories, but some of them are in like extra biblical texts.
Okay. I was wondering, are there like the writings that people have found and
I
things
don't
they
know
can
enough
explore?
about the Coptic Church. I
Got
just
it.
know.
I've always also found it interesting how the more, well, in the denominations I have worked for, put it that way, that we seem to have all shied away from Mary
Yeah.
in a way that I always find really interesting, considering that a lot of the denominations I've worked for are more, they ordain women and it's like not
Yeah.
a big thing. But then we're like, Mary, I don't know. And then maybe some more conservatively facing denominations are like very focused on Mary. And I
Yeah.
find that always like this weird, I'm like, this makes no sense to my brain. Like, we're like, I don't know. We don't want to elevate
Yeah.
Mary. I'm like, she was pretty involved in all of this, guys.
And
Like,
I think it's interesting because I feel like I've talked to some people who have this like in they're like simultaneously like so drawn, but also don't really have much to like go on.
yeah.
Especially when you don't have that kind of rich history of revering Mary.
Right.
And it is because her body is the sight of God.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
And like it's like God is crafted through her very cells. And so like there is this, and
It's wild. I just have to, this is one of my favorite facts ever, is that through like growing a baby, your
Mhm.
actual brain cells become some of, like, I have less brain cells now because Mare Bear has some of them. Like, she legitimately has the ones that were in my
Mhm.
brain. Like, mom brain is real, guys, turns out. We're not just full of all the, unnoticed tasks. We're just also missing brain cells. That like Jesus
Mhm.
had Mary's brain cells. And like,
And
to your point, like there was
Yeah.
so much of her essence in her son, which
Mhm. And
makes sense.
trace amounts of the genetic material of the child will remain in the mother's body as well.
Yeah.
So and this past week I spoke about Mary for a moment. This past week my sermon was bittersweet. But one of the things I was reflecting on is how she was feeling in these moments before his birth or as he was a young child.
Mhm.
And I think that the places where Mary shows up are a few ordinary places.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesus's birth and Jesus's death.
Yeah. I feel like we kind of tend to gloss over that she's there for his death.
And I think that's why one of the lines I was talking about was, I wonder if Mary ever told Jesus that he would be safe and that nobody would hurt him.
Right.
And as I was writing this, because she was not told
How it would end.
She was told that her child would be this King of Kings, Son of the Most High.
Right.
And she was not told that he would die young. And I think, obviously, when you have a child, especially pre-modern medicine, there's always a risk of them dying young.
Sure.
And that doesn't mean that people don't grieve those children. You can look at the way that people in ancient Rome mourned their children, and it was no less. But I don't know, having an angel say this, your kid will be the son of the Most High. You're like, okay, I think this one's probably going to be okay.
Yeah. There's a sense of like almost like a false security because
Mhm.
he is, you know, so special.
And yet, from the moment he's born, he's at risk. Something that might not be in our Christmas pageant, I haven't read the full script, is just all of these children that are murdered because of the threat of something, and she's immediately fleeing to another country. And I wonder at what point she figured that he was probably safe.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, she obviously took his security super seriously, not only because she's his mother, but because, you know, they are fleeing. I mean, there's a sense of like, she doesn't take it for granted, I think, because you know, she wouldn't have probably left. She was like, oh, he's fine.
And then as he reaches his, you know, late 20s, early 30s, he's doing things that are increasingly riskier.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And then knowing it's sort of accepted that she was quite young.
Yeah.
Right. So she was not even probably 50 by the time,
yeah,
you know, of his death. And so it's a heck of a story.
Yeah. And I think the fact that we know the end of it sometimes makes it easier to forget the kind of impact.
Mm-hmm.
Where like there are still, oh my gosh, such an emo. Like there are times where like I will just think about the Christ narrative and I will just get like weepy.
Oh,
because I'll just be like, dang.
You're gonna love. So we are in the process right now. This is a good time. This is a great segue, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Of planning we're doing you have instigated a longest night service, which is sometimes called Blue Christmas. I've also heard it called Silent Night. There's lots of names for this kind of service. Well, tell the people what it is, and then I'll segue more.
So, one of my favorite kinds of services. So, a longest night service, Blue Christmas service, is a time where we recognize that although you are being told that everyone is merry, this is the happiest time of the year, there is a whole variety of reasons that someone might feel other emotions during the holiday seasons, whether those are anxiety or uncertainty or loss or grief in all forms. And so a longest night service is a contemplative, reflective service that holds space for all of those feelings through music, moments of silence, readings, and there will be a candle lighting.
Yeah. And so you can attend that, of course, in person here, Saturday, December 20th at 3:30. We are also actually going to live stream it, which is different for us. We often pre-tape, but we thought this one would feel better, frankly, to have everyone be together at the same time. You will be able to watch it after the fact, but we would love to encourage you to join with us at the same time at 3:30 on December 20th, which is the segue was that one of the hymns we're going to sing is A Stable Lamp is Lighted. And you and I were talking about that one a little bit, and it goes through the whole story, and the tune is so beautiful. It's just one of my all-time favorite hymns. And so I'm excited for that one because I think that one does go through the whole story, and I think it sort of reflects on this idea, and it has this line that keeps coming back of every stone shall cry, you know, and so the word cry takes on this like multi-layered feeling of what's happening. It's very interesting. I'm excited for that moment. It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. Well, we did it, friends. I think. I don't even know what time it is. I'm looking.
That's a great question.
My head's over there. But I think we've covered a lot here today.
Yeah.
And I hope that I would love to hear your thoughts on Advent, on Mary. We sort of touched on Mary a little bit. And how your experience of Advent is going. We'd love to hear from you. And Round Hill Radio is brought to you by the Friends and Members of Round Hill Church. For more information, please visit roundhillradio.org.